I'm Sabine Marcelis, a designer from Rotterdam, the Netherlands. And for this presentation in Milan, I've created, together with Solid Nature, a bathroom, but a bathroom more interpreted as a sculpture. So the approach was really to not think of it as a room, but more as an object that has all the functionings you would find in a bathroom, all together in one. Naturally, I'm really drawn to the onyxes out of the library of Solid Nature's stones because they have this beautiful translucency to them. The bathroom is a composition of different volumes meeting each other, and each volume has a specific function. And in those intersections where the volumes come together, the onyx plays a really important role with letting the light through in these corners to create these delicate moments of illumination. This is what's also really interesting for me because I'm used to working more with resin and glass, where I have absolute control over the material and I can shape it and treat it exactly how I want. But with onyx and natural stone, the material has its own identity and its own drawings. So you really need to figure out exactly where you position it because it has a total different outcome depending on where each drawing is placed. Each slab is unique, so that's really nice because in a way then you're having like a collaboration with nature. You already have this beautiful material, and how do you then shape this into a volume so that the best of it comes out and is highlighted? The picking of the stone was a really important part of the process because even though from a singular block of the pink onyx, each slab has a very different characteristic. The drawings can vary from quite wild to more subtle. And when working with these volumes coming together, it was important to get the right balance of subtlety, but still with an intense nature behind it.
Also quite a big influence on...
One thing that we discovered when selecting the stone is that when certain drawings are very present in the material, you lose the depth of the object. So the onyx and the form language really have to support each other and highlight each other. It's been a real pleasure working with Solid Nature because they are amazing craftsmen and really understand the details of what make a project successful. This object is about expressing the beauty of natural stone, and the pink onyx has such a presence. We're going loud and big with this bathroom, but at the same time there is a softness to it. It's really special to be here in Alcova to present this artwork and showcase the potential and beauty of natural stone like this.
Hello, Sabine.
Hello.
I'm going to do a little introduction of you before I shoot the questions. I would like to welcome Sabine Marcelis as a guest in our Busters Conversations, a series of dialogues with people from arts and culture about slowing down in nature and contemplating the future. Sabine runs a Rotterdam-based studio for material installation and object design. She's forever in search of magical moments within materiality and manufacturing processes to create unexpected experiences. Congratulations on winning the Wallpaper Designer of the Year 2020. I'm sure this is not the last one. How are you?
I'm good. Yeah.
Thank you for coming here. So my first question is, how has the current lockdown affected your life and work? Has this been a blessing or a curse?
I have to be honest, without being disrespectful to other people, which I'm sure have had a very rough time with this situation. For me, it's been kind of great. I just had a baby right before the lockdown started.
Congratulations.
So I had to be at home anyway.
Right.
And my partner has been working from home as well. So it's been a really unique moment where we've both been able to be at home with the new baby, and yeah, I was in a way already a bit prepared to be working from home. Not for the rest of my team to also be working from home, but it's also really shown me that we can function like that as well. And yeah, we're making it work, and I think everything is a bit more relaxed. You know, I'm not like running after answering emails so much.
Right.
So it's given us like a nice pause also to spend time together with the three of us. and also to think about what I really enjoy about my work. And I think the last few years everything has gone so fast, like projects have sort of rolled in and I've rolled with it without really stopping to really reflect on which things really get me excited, which projects should we just not even do at all.
Right.
And I think this sort of pause moment has allowed for some space to think about, where to take the studio from here as well.
So it also showed us that a slowdown is possible in some sense. It's not an extreme scenario that you cannot think I can function like this.
Well, I'm not sure, because it's only possible now because the whole world has slowed down.
True.
I think if everything was still going as fast around me, I would have gotten quite stressed at this moment, actually.
Absolutely.
Especially also because it's, we're right, for us, the Salone is quite an important moment. And that would have happened like a couple of weeks ago. So everything was kind of, revving up towards this moment to present new work. And I think it would have been very stressful to try and slow down in amongst, when the world expects you to still keep performing and showing and producing as fast.
Right.
I also, I don't know about how this is going to affect the world economy in a big way. But maybe I think just the pace of course, fashion has been like out of control for a long time. But design is right up there as well. Like every year there's, I don't know how many new candle holders and trivets get designed and released. Like
Careful
the world,
with the candle holders.
the world doesn't need new things of mass production so
Sure.
often.
It's nice that you say that. I've looked at your work, and I know your work already for years, but one of the very first projects that you've done was a home brewing system called house wine. How have you transitioned from making alcohol into the world of colors and forms and reflections?
The house wine kit. It was my graduation project. I did Design Academy, which the department that I studied in was very product and consumer user related. So I had to design something of function and to really analyze the handling and how do you improve it. And I think even then, like it might seem like that was a very different kind of project to what I do now.
That's my question. How do you feel about that connection still?
It actually isn't that different.
I know, but I think it's good to say that how you look at your work, that it's all interconnected even though it looks so different.
Completely foreign to working with wood. What can be expected from me is to approach the material in an unexpected way. It's the same way I approach most projects, to really analyze the material and understand what the production possibilities are. Get most of my inspiration from being on site in a factory and seeing what else is happening, and then, picking out like something where that could be the starting point of a project. Also with this, because, now the starting point is working from home and what's annoying about it or what could be improved about it, how do you deal with that? And which is certainly not, I'm not like a problem-solving designer. I'm more of a finding moments of wonder and creating something with that designer. That kind of a special moment is what I want to achieve with this project, where it's a very, kind of anonymous object, which could be a piece of minimal art it's just a minimal shape that beautifully shows the wood in its purity, but then there's something inside of it, and that's to be discovered. I'm Sabine Marcelis, a designer based in Rotterdam, the Netherlands. Growing up, I spent a lot of time in nature, and especially near the ocean and in the mountains. And the way that the light of the sky and the ocean and the snow on the mountains all communicate with each other and create these really beautiful moments and ever-changing moments, I think have always been really inspiring to me. So in my work, I try to capture these wonderful moments that happen in nature, but on a smaller scale, as objects or installations that are static, but they don't feel static because the use of light and color and materials, when you move around these objects, they keeps changing. And I've tried to do the same in the Massimo Dutti store installation.
With the home brewing kit, I found something that, you know, I wanted to try and make my own alcohol. And then I realized in trying to do that all the tools that you have for it are just ugly, and it's kind of like a dirty secret that you do in the basement.
Oh, right, yeah.
But in fact, it's a really beautiful material exploration, because the transformation from water and yeast and sugar, you know, bubbling, fermenting to become something completely different, that whole process was what I was fascinated in. And I wanted to showcase that. So the House Wine project, even though it was very much you know, a product, it was still about showcasing a material effect. So yeah, and I think I still do that with my work now. It's about finding like this moment that's really interesting, and how do you exploit that more within a shape, within an object, to really capture that moment.
My next question is exactly about that. All your work is, at least to me, very positive, almost celebratory. A sort of antidote to the constant state of conflict and crisis we perceive. Do you see your work engaged in the dialogue, or is it purely intuitive, let's say free of what you may call politics or agenda? If you know what I mean, it's quite pleasant to consume your work, whether both functionally or aesthetically. And it is like a medicine for most of the people to consume such designs in the world that is, you know, facing all these like bombardment of crisis and conflicts. Do you perceive it, or it's all your work is just intuitive?
I think actually I might say that I work in a bit of a naive way, because I don't really have a message to the world.
There's nothing wrong with naive. I mean, that's a very great tool, by the way.
I think in a way everyone that works within our field puts a bit of themselves in their work, or at least if you're really working from your own interest and from the heart, that you put yourself in your work. And I think inherently I am a positive person. I'm not a pessimist. I like to always look on the bright side of things. You know, life's too short to get like caught up or hung up on things. And I like beautiful things, but mainly I'm very curious.
No.
So I want to keep exploring what are the possibilities within materials. How can you design with those possibilities or restrictions? And I've been very fortunate that I have the possibility to really just do work that interests me. I'm not really trying to solve design issues or social issues.
That's what I was kind of aiming to. Is there some kind of a, let's say, greater agenda? Because a lot of design, like Enzo Mari, he's interested in these kind of things, and objects follow that. In hindsight, you can see that he has a very strong opinion. Speaking of fashion that you mentioned earlier, and overproduction and mass consumption, what does the future hold for art as a material experience, which is your domain, in the furthermore, let's call it digitalized and fast-consuming appetites? And I'm asking this because, for example, you're using very well the social media to your advantage, Instagram, Facebook, etc. What do you think this means? Does the social media and digital consumption inform the material design? Or are we going to see, and that's also follow-up, are we going to see less objects and more virtual experiences?
I think there's sort of two sides to this, because on the one hand, I think it's good that a lot of it is shifting towards digital visualizations, because it means that not everything needs to be physically produced, which means, you know, more waste in the world.
Right.
Things can be, yeah, what's it called? Like simulated in the digital world, which looks extremely real. But I do also feel a bit of an allergic reaction to that side of things, because at the end of the day, a lot of those visualizations are just an image, like, you know, something that's Instagrammable, or like it's pleasant to look at. I think the way that I work, it's not limited to an industrial design scale. So the thing that really fascinates me with architecture is that similar ideas within objects can be, you know, multiplied on an architectural scale, and it provides so many more opportunities to really think about how you experience a space and how certain materials can make you feel, and yeah, it allows for many more interactions. My preferred choices of materials have been glass and resin. I think both materials have these unique quality to be either completely transparent, high polished, all the way to entirely opaque and very matte, and they can be any color range. And I think that just it provides such a broad spectrum to design within, and it allows me to really diffuse, reflect, you know, to have all these interactions with light. Color for me is another design tool, so I think it can exaggerate certain effects. So when you're working with light, obviously it's about shadow and light, but then color is an additional tool, so you can also create color shadow, or you can have colors merging into each other. So it really, for me, color provides another dimension to design with. Light it's everything. Without light, there is nothing. For me, light is really, it's everything. Well, for everyone, light is everything. There is no shadow, no visibility without light. So it really provides this extreme, broad spectrum to play within. And up until now, I've primarily been exploring how you can manipulate a line of light by diffusing it, dimming it, changing its color, spreading it out, multiplying it. And I mean, obviously that can also be interpreted on a more architectural scale, and also moving away from just a line of light. How do you play with sunlight within a space, within an object? I don't think there's any possibility ever to run out of inspiration when light is a design tool. The reason I'm very drawn to light as a design tool, and in combination with pure geometric shapes, is because I really need a reason for the form language, and by keeping it as minimal as possible, I think I can most effectively highlight the light qualities and the interaction that light has with the shape. For me, to win this International Design Award it's very flattering and very unexpected. I work for my own happiness, my own fascination, so it's definitely a bonus to know that it's also appreciated outside of my own little universe.
The way that an interior is lit sets the tone for how you experience it emotionally.
Together with award-winning designer Sabine Marcelis, IKEA has created the Warm Lit collection that will create a positive experience in the home, amplified by light.
Collaborating with IKEA has been amazing. I think our skill sets really complemented each other, and it was a very effortless process in bringing these pieces to life. I think it's important to surround yourself with pieces that bring a sense of positivity and lightness to life. So I hope that the Warmblix collection does just that. When you surround yourself with them, there is this celebration of not only artificial light, but also natural light, and how all these different light sources can activate and bring a dynamic quality to static designs. The donut shape for me is just this perfect finite shape. And then when you make that translucent, there is a lot of layers to work with.
The beauty of Varmblix moves IKEA democratic design one step forward.
I think I can only do good design when I'm very excited about it. It's very much about working from a fascination and a passion. So if I'm not excited about it...
But it's a completely unrealistic design, for instance, because in no sense has the production process been taken into account. Because that's, yeah, I think quite often I hear people saying, oh, it's such beautiful work you do, and it's, you know, it's very aesthetic, but I actually really design from production processes. It's not about, oh, I have this final image in mind and we'll produce it however it's possible. It's always the other way around, like it ends up being. So I think for me it would actually, I wouldn't know how to design in a purely digital sense.
Right.
I don't think it's possible for me. So yeah, I don't know, I think there's gonna be maybe more of a divide where there's a space for physical things, but you know, photographers are extremely important now, because to get beautiful images of your work where the materiality translates in the images, I think that's key, because that's at the end of the day what most people will see instead of the real thing. Especially now because no museums are open.
Yeah, 90%, I don't know, it's a statistic that just, I want to make it extreme, so 90% of people
What's
consume...
your source?
Yeah, exactly. Consume art digitally. And they decide prior to visiting a museum whether it's worth it based on visuals. Oh, this looks interesting, this looks exciting, I'm gonna go. Not that it never happened before, but we live in a much more visual culture now, and we are relying on it so much, on these impressions, that it's a deal breaker for most of the exhibitions. So it's a good question. What's the future of museum? Whether we now stroll through museums only virtually, and then if we decide this needs to be felt physically, we buy a ticket and we actually do it in real. And galleries now make virtual tours of the exhibitions, museums, etc.
I have to say though that it does not interest me so much to have a look at virtual galleries. I'm not like excited to go see a virtual gallery, but I'm excited to go to a museum, because of course it's still different to stand in front of a work and walk around it, or to feel its presence instead of looking at your phone and seeing an image of it.
You operate in the world of design, art, and high-end fashion interiors, architecture. Do you see any trends taking roots that would give us hope that sustainability and environmental awareness is not just a hype? Do you see from your own experience these things are changing like a foot soldier, you know? It's not just a greenwashing.
It's hard to say, but I think, I mean, it's ridiculous if you don't keep that in mind as a brand, as any company. And I know for sure all the fashion brands are very interested in working with sustainable materials. And I myself as well, I'm highly aware of, you know, everything that you produce is more junk in the world. And the materials that I use are not especially environmentally friendly. But I'm very conscious of that, which is also why I've always stayed away from any sort of mass production of them. Like, they should be unique pieces or very limited edition.
Can I come to your defense? I don't see so much problem with that, because the production numbers of your works are quite limited.
Yeah.
And they are sort of, let's call them artworks, that are for many people to enjoy. Whereas producing disposable one-off spoons and forks and cups, it's a different type of a story.
Yeah. But still, I think I still have a responsibility, because you know, things trickle down and people or brands like my work and they try to produce something like it for the masses.
Oh, right.
So then I think it should still, I don't know if that's the same argument, but in any case, we're totally transitioning to bioresins because I think it's not of the now to keep working with these materials that are not sustainable. And I know for a fact also that fashion brands that keep rejuvenating their image and in a sense sort of throwing away materials and you know, the earth's resources every time a new creative director steps in, that they are also much more looking towards using very sustainable materials. I'm obviously not jumping on board to produce huge things in more material than it needs to be.
Yeah.
So also with designs that, you know, if you can make it hollow instead of solid, like there's things like that to think about as well. But I think now actually with these fairs that they can't go ahead, maybe that's a good thing to sort of stand still and think about as well. Like does every industry need fairs for every sub thing within
every niche?
Yeah. It's because I think those are the really big polluters as well, because it's always like building up these booths, breaking them down.
Like festivals, basically.
Yeah.
Another question. Since you are forever in search of magical moments, what was the last artwork you have seen that took your breath away?
I feel like I haven't been to physically see something in so long.
But it could have been also digital, you know. It could, when I say artwork, I'm usually quite generous in that definition. It could be a movie, it could be a song, you know. So let's not dwell on sculptures and paintings.
Hoe zou een laadpaal ontworpen voor Amsterdam eruit kunnen zien?
We zijn altijd op zoek naar interessante materialen en productieprocessen. Hier komt het materiaal heel duidelijk uit de stad. Het zand is uit de grond getrokken. Het glas is eigenlijk een soort metafoor voor de lucht. En je kan heel veel mooie interacties creëren met de omgeving waar het object staat. Het is echt een samenkoming van twee werelden. Die van Audi en die van mij. En dan specifiek in de stad Amsterdam. I live in a loft together with my boyfriend and our new baby. The moment where we were both working from home, our dining table was just completely taken over by my boyfriend's massive computer screen and tower, and was all there. When I was asked to design a desk, I wanted it to be something where you can hide all those things so you're not constantly confronted with a work situation. Basically, it's a very anonymous object. It's also completely just celebrating wood in its natural state. I ended up going for the maple. The main reason for it was the grain. So I thought it had the most beautiful lines going through it. For benchmark, structurally, I think it was a good decision as well. It's a very different world on the inside of the object. It's been coated with this super high gloss yellow varnish that's then also been polished. Most of my work is actually produced in a workshop directly downstairs from my studio. So it's a very close relationship and seeing and touching everything all the time. But I think that was actually the most exciting part of the collaboration, that there's really this like trust in them. There was a lot of back and forth with, okay, maybe we can optimize this detail in a better way. Maybe the joint here needs to be a little bit different so that you accentuate this nice detail. So that in a way was, you know, a very luxurious way to work with a company. So that was amazing, without being able to be so close to the object and still feeling like everything was completely under control.
Only because that might be difficult in these times, but God knows, and you might have seen something along the way.
I really have to take a minute, actually.
Take a minute, this is why we are here.
No rush.
No rush.
I mean, I also have baby brain at the moment. Just disclaimer.
So but the latest artwork that took your breath away is your
child.
son.
No.
Why not?
No, I'm thinking of like my favorite artworks now, but they haven't been the most recent I've seen. But
so what okay, so we will come back to this.
Actually, no, I'll tell. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Not too long ago, Anne Veronica Janssen had a show in the in the pond in Tilburg.
Yeah.
And there was just a stain of glitter on the floor, but like a huge stain. And when you move around it,
It moved.
Yeah, and it's such a simple gesture. It's, so pure, just a stain of glitter.
Love it.
But it was so multifaceted, and yeah, it's something that you want to keep looking at. And I like that in work.
Because it was transitory, fragile,
Just
exaggerated banality.
no, I think it just makes you wonder, like, what is this material? And then when you realize it's mainly like an oily glitter, which actually I'm not sure exactly what it was made of, but it was a very simple gesture, which I'm a huge fan of, but with a huge impact, because it makes you curious, it makes you wonder, and I really hope to do that with my work as well. That you don't just walk past it, it's like captures you and you want to understand how it's done, like what it is. And
Nice.
that, I think
Thank you.
she's great.
It's a nice image. I can already feel what you felt just by describing it. The bust chair concept, among other things, embodies and emphasizes the relationship of nature and art, contemplation and art. Do these relationships speak to you? Art and nature, art and contemplation.
Absolutely. For me, nature is like my biggest inspiration. I think the most magical moments in any case
I should have asked already in the beginning.
are only found in nature. So, yeah. In its totality, yes.
Do you start your projects looking at nature or replicating certain amazing phenomena that you experience in nature, trying to...
I think in both senses. I mean, a lot of my work is about the interaction of light and materiality.
Yes.
In the same way that, the sky interacts with the sun and the clouds, and it creates this like riot of colors. That's a huge inspiration for me. But I think also using nature to activate your work is really interesting. So I did a project a couple years ago in Spain, which was a massive sundial. And the sun really activated it. And then I think it's really nice to work with nature. And also, like, I've been exploring working with water a bit recently with these fountains. Yeah, using elements of nature in the work, but also having nature inspire the work, or trying to capture bits of nature. That's like my huge, biggest
Love it.
inspiration.
And you do it really well. I remember the exhibition you had at Boymans 3 years ago, and there was these 2 or 3 panels with the light going across, and I could really feel that there's something with nature going on there. It was really powerful, visually communicating that kind of sensation that's in all of us, and I really enjoy when I see artworks connecting to these kind of almost primordial sensations that we have but cannot put the words on the table properly, and then the artwork comes along and kind of embodies that. So it's congratulations. I really like that one.
Thank you.
The last question: how do you feel sitting in this chair?
It's very comfortable, and it has a very good texture to it. I was expecting it to be cold.
But it's not.
It's not.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's beautiful and very comfortable, feeling it.
Last part of this interview, it's this, let's say, fun section where I ask you fire questions, and you have to answer them really quick. You have like 1 second to think about it.
All right.
And, it's 5
I'm ready.
of them. Ready?
Yeah.
Paris or London?
Paris.
Red or blue?
Blue.
Alice Rawstorn or Paolo Antonelli?
Alice.
All right. Modernity or antiquity?
Modernity.
My way or highway?
My way.
Thank you so much, Sabine. It was lovely. We have a small gift for you. So as a token of my appreciation, a small gift and a memory.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Sabine. So
Number 13.
So it's for the little
Perfect.
son.
He's a little bit too big, I think.
Dollhouse.